But here's the thing that bugged me the most, okay?
Do you want a seat, Joe?
So, no,
Okay.
I just...
Hold you by the neck.
Talk to the lapel. So welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. I think we can still say Happy New Year, right? What's the rule? Until March or something?
I'll go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. Joseph sends his regrets. He's very busy preparing for a big win next week, a trial that he's worked long and hard on. So I'm filling in for Joseph. We have with us tonight our two new associates, Nick Whitfield and Tyler Alviano. Welcome, gents.
Thank you very much.
Recent additions to the family. I've promised not to go too hard on them tonight, but there will be questions. There will be questions. I've got both of your resumes, so this is not a re-interview. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if your probation period's over, but you have nothing to worry about tonight, okay?
Good, thank you.
Starting with Nick. Nick.
Yes. Fire
Wow.
away.
Tell me about how do you get from University of Cambridge to Neuberger and Partners in Toronto?
Yeah, well, I knew it. I knew
You
it
knew I was going to
there.
start.
Yeah,
I love the
so-
Cambridge story.
Well, to begin with, I grew up in Cambridge, or around it, so I was quite happy when I finally got to leave. So late 20s, I'd spent a lot of time there. I did a PhD there in history of medicine, and then I got a 1-year postdoctoral fellowship at McGill University. And I flew to Canada just thinking I would be here 12 months. And then 12 years later, I'm still here. I had my 1-year fellowship just kept getting extra funding. So I kept sort of going with it for several years. I was living in Montreal. I'd spent my 20s in a library. And so I caught up for lost time in Montreal, which was a bit of a party city. And I certainly used it to that effect.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And after that, law school, because I decided it was time to do something else.
Other than read.
Other than read in a library and enjoy myself in Montreal. So, I went back to school with the aim of doing criminal, but I got sucked down a corporate route. I went down a corporate route. No one forced me. And then after articling, I decided I was going to try criminal again.
Really? No, it's interesting because you articled at a, let's call it a high-end Bay Street-y type firm.
Yeah, I did.
Potentially lucrative.
It was.
Long hours.
It was very long hours. It was in a very tall building.
Unlike ours.
No, yeah, it's a very low building.
Right.
We're in the
Yes.
basement right now. And I did it, for 10 months. It was good. I did enjoy health law. I did some health law there, and I really, really enjoyed that.
So why criminal law?
Criminal, I'd gone to law school to begin with, and to do criminal. I think I followed the John Gameshi trial. That was just prior to me making an application, and I was really fascinated by the whole procedure, the idea of credibility, of testing witnesses, because it was such a well-publicized case. There was a lot to read, and I read the judgments, and I found it fascinating. And so I applied, but I didn't realize at that point how, well, according to people at law school anyway, criminal was very sort of niche. You really
it's
had
niche.
to sort of pursue it and be kind of very passionate about it. And I was told all kinds of terrible stories that you would be impoverished for decades. And I don't know if I have too many decades left because I went to school a bit older. So I sort of abandoned that idea reluctantly around my first, second year, and COVID hit too.
Right.
And so it was just easier to go along with what everybody else was doing. And so that's what I did.
Okay, so we've thrown you into the deep end quite quickly here, right?
Yeah.
You've worked on some pretty important cases, had some successes. How have your eyes opened to criminal law now that you've seen it live and close?
I would say, I suppose the human side, which I understood was there, but you don't realize it until you're actually with clients and seeing their reactions and seeing what's at stake with the clients. So this sort of human element of criminal law was I found fascinating, and it's what I wanted, and I've really seen it, and it's been a very enjoyable part of it. Another aspect is just the Tyler and I talk about this a lot, just the procedural complexity of it.
It's not easy. You've
Tyler,
learned that.
there
come
is.
from like
Joseph's here. He's taking a... Joseph's...
Tyler's just sitting there quietly. I want to hear...
For now.
Did you
he's
expect it to be so procedurally heavy?
No, I had no idea. I think that you're sort of under a misapprehension coming from the outside that it's mainly one piece of legislation that you can
Yeah.
you can get a grip on it fairly quickly, but it's once you are immersed in it, it's not like that at all. It's extremely complex, difficult, and very procedurally heavy.
And, one of the things that back in the day when we started, a lot of people went into criminal law thinking, they didn't have to do that much writing, right?
Get in
No,
here.
it's okay. I like being the voice.
It's the voice.
The voice from the unseen, right? But
Right.
there's a ton of like written advocacy in this, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
And it's such an important part.
very writing heavy. I think Nick and I spend most of our days writing.
Reading and writing.
Reading and writing.
Which suits me fine. I mean, I really do enjoy that. That reading and writing is what I can do. Having to look at the court calendar about every 10 minutes to sort of satiate my anxiety, that's what I'm getting used to still.
It's a lot of management. You gotta
it
be
is.
on top of the court appearances. There's a lot of download now because how the system's changed. We got to manage dates very carefully. What's pissed you off about
The crowns.
government and prosecution?
Yeah,
and
that was my next
Because your
question.
eyes, you
Thank
come
you,
from
voice.
a different field. I'm sorry, but you come from like a different field, right? Now you both have had passion for criminal law. You're in it. But what's pissed you off? What has opened your eyes and go, I didn't think it was like that. And that really bugs me about the prosecution.
Tell us.
Here you go, Joseph.
Joseph, just get in here. I told you we should have Joseph in on this.
Okay, go ahead.
Just do the casual look.
Like,
This is-
wow,
he's
okay.
taking a break from major trial prep, so this is good.
And from Strike the Bell.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
Joseph was at Madonna last night and he survived.
I gotta hand it to her. We should all have personal trainers like Marcy. Weren't you training Madonna for being in Toronto?
Just while she was in Toronto.
Yeah.
I went to the 4th
She
season.
can still do it at 65.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty amazing.
Like,
Yeah, knee brace and all.
anyways, Strike the Bell.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Talk. What's pissed
Talk.
you off?
I think how slowly things move more than anything has been really frustrating. When you get a new client, you want to get disclosure, get things moving as fast as possible so that you can advocate for them, but it sometimes takes months to get anywhere on a case, and you can't really do much without the government moving things along.
Yeah, you kind of need them to do their job. And a lot of time they do, but things are slow. But, have you seen now to try and get certain
Okay, Joe,
information?
stop micromanaging. The sound's not going to pick you up. Come on.
Yes, it will.
Okay,
Here,
all right.
here.
Well, but it's like pulling teeth to get
It's
certain
okay.
evidence out. Is it not?
Joe-
Does that not bug you?
Joe is hands-on.
Okay, I'm out of it.
The voice- The voice is still
I'm
here.
out of it.
Marcy's going to take the chair. Do some...
Say hi to the camera, Marcy.
Okay, Joe, next question. Where were we?
I'm curious. Just ask him about because what's so interesting is when you come from a different area. Of practice,
Well, that
it's
was next.
Like, did
So-
you think wow, it's not as honest as I thought it was?
It's okay,
right?
Marcy. Let him. He's having
Okay,
fun.
now shut up.
No, don't. So I was gonna say, you come from the golden towers of Bay Street, where everything happened one way. Mm-hmm. Was this a culture shock?
Yeah, it was, because on Bay Street, if you have, there's arbitration or civil litigation, there's a kind of a lot of options in terms of for kind of wealthy or corporate clients, how they can manage their litigation and so on. So it's almost like consumerist. And then here, having conversation with clients sort of angry because they haven't had disclosure yet, it was like, well, it's just not, it just takes its time, and trying to explain that for everybody it takes such a long time. That was a real difference there.
Tyler, eye opener for you when you got here.
And coming from the corporate side as well, deals really move at the pace that both sides of the table work. So seeing that you could get a deal done in a matter of weeks or months, depending on how fast both sides are able to work, you're really in charge of that. Whereas here, you're really in the hands of the government, and it can take months to get anywhere on a case. So it could be quite frustrating.
Why'd you pick us? You can. Do you want to talk to Joe first before you answer that question?
Because of this, actually.
I'm just listening carefully.
Very carefully. No performance reviews. Choose your words. Do you need a break?
No, Joseph's outstanding
Here, I'm just
reputation
texting the answer.
and killer watch collection. That's
Oh, well, that's important.
yeah. And the podcast, the newsletter. I read the materials a lot on the website, and actually just reading through the website, watching Joseph and you on here, it kind of re-sparked my interest when I was considering, okay, what should I do now that Bay Street didn't work out? Like, where should I go back? And I was convinced. So that's why.
Tyler, you?
My answer is largely the same. I mean,
No, you can't say the same.
yeah, but it really was like reviewing the website, seeing the podcast, just really sparked my interest and drew me to the firm. There are really very few high-end criminal boutiques in Canada. So seeing that one was hiring, it made me want to apply right
Good
away.
answer.
It is, wasn't it a good answer?
Yeah. Brownie points.
Brownie
Well,
points.
yeah.
Brownie.
I'm wearing my Speedmaster today.
There he
Okay,
is.
so explain to the camera what that is.
So this Speedmaster was a
Watches are
Don't
important.
laugh. I get message. I'm like friends with a few of our viewers who are totally watch nuts like me.
Yeah.
So the Speedmaster is.
the Moon Watch. So the history behind it is that Omega was the company hired by NASA to develop a watch that could be used in space, and this was the first watch that historically was worn to the moon and was certified for spaceflight.
Just in case you got to go there, right?
Just in case I got to go
Good
there.
watch choice.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I'm not wearing any because you mocked my card share
Alright,
the other
leave that
day.
alone. Let's
Let's
I
not
don't
go
wanna-
there.
I don't want to get sued by card share.
No, that's the mundane. That's, yeah. Where
should-
were
We
we?
should do a watch episode.
We were going to do a watch
A
episode.
episode
would be great.
I need a watch for that, but yeah.
You can borrow one of my
All
watches
right,
for
all right,
that.
thanks.
Could
You
definitely
wore a very
talk
nice
watches
one,
for,
kind of
for
minimal.
half an hour.
I was going to say when you're not lawyering, what do you do? But you're always lawyering now, I hope.
Yeah.
It does suck up a considerable amount of our time.
Tyler, what the hell is fantasy hockey? I was looking at your resume again. Is that like when you have dreams about women on skates? What is that?
I wish. It's a lot nerdier. It's basically a group of guys who all like hockey, yeah, and we get together, pitch $40, we join a league, and we pick players from all of the hockey players participating in the NHL that year, and draft our own team and compete every week for points based on how those players are doing in the league.
Okay, sounds interesting.
How's that working out for you?
How's that working out for you?
Not well this year.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much of a fantasy, but it sounds fun.
Yeah,
So just address one thing. So both of you come from civil backgrounds.
that's right.
I always wanted to be a criminal lawyer, and I geared my education to that. But of course, I articled civil, and I got hired back, and I was a corporate commercial lawyer for about 15 seconds, and then quit and did criminal. Do you find that having sort of a diverse educational background and experience as an articling student and as a lawyer will help you in criminal practice?
I've thrown most of what I learned in civil law completely out of the window, especially because my background was completely solicitor work, completely corporate. There's very little advocacy other than a little bit of written advocacy. There wasn't a lot of research. So I've basically had to relearn how to be a
Here's what you
lawyer.
don't realize. When you have an OSC case, and we defend fraud cases or mortgage fraud cases, you'll actually know a lot about that background, because you'll be surprised when I've done other cases with other counsel on OSC fraud cases and others, trying to describe to some lawyer who's only focused on criminal law, to understand how debentures are and what a prospectus deal is and how there's false information contained in these documents. It's like, it's very hard to explain to some people, but you have that background, and we do some of that work, and it's very important. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. When I work here, I'm always thinking about the differences, like the procedural aspects, or how it's much more, I'm seeing clients far more, it's more kind of doing different things. It was much more research based when I was articling, which does come in handy here. It's definitely a skill that I need and use. But then I could also say like my sort of reading, writing, and historical research sort of from years ago is probably more useful for this, because I often find myself just rooting through documents, trying to find some fact. It's this sort of textual work, like working with text, working with so much case law there's probably been the kind of consistency between the two. But I don't know, it's criminal law, it's just so different.
I think what you don't appreciate, which I did when I did, I'm sorry I'm doing this again, but
Let him
No,
finish.
he
the
can't.
organizational aspect and the digging
fine.
for facts or trying to
No,
do
it's
your
the
due
sound
diligence on a
quality.
deal. Anyways, whatever. I think there's a lot there. I learned a tremendous amount from being in a civil area and then coming into criminal. I thought it's helped tremendously.
Yeah, and on that, do you find you're working on bigger chunks of a case versus slivers in the civil world?
For me, absolutely. I mean, that's probably the thing I like the most about it. When I'm on a case, I'm really a part of it. You know, we work as a team a lot. We're kind of up in the boardroom. Everyone's there together. Sometimes I'll be doing, work on my own too, but I very much feel like part of something. Whereas if you're in a larger firm, and it's, I think, pretty normal, especially as an articling student, you're given much smaller tasks, and it's very focused research. And especially when I came into the office, people were only just starting to be back in the office physically after COVID as well. So it was sort of a bit, I think for everyone in that kind of firm, it gets a bit of a lonely road with remote work.
So you've seen a few cases now from beginning to end. What's your most memorable case? Which one you found was just rewarding, if you want to use that word?
And don't use the name.
No names. We've had that discussion. No names. Can't call clients stupid. That's the rule.
No, I can't.
You can.
Well, for me, it was a case that was recently resolved by means of a peace bond. And I was there, not right toward the beginning, but certainly my first task on that case was a historical sexual assault case. And my first task was sort of to disentangle a very kind of complicated statement. And so I went sort of from that early phase doing that, and I got to see Joseph craft a cross-examination. I helped with witness preparation. So I saw just many different elements.
Developed the defense narrative.
Yeah, exactly. And so I got to see the growth. And then with the outcome as well, you get to see a brilliant reaction from the client and the family. And so that I really got to see the reward of it being done well. So that was fantastic. That moment was good.
Tyler.
I haven't really seen a case through its completion yet.
You're working on it.
Exactly. You and I have a couple that are ongoing right now. We're starting a sexual assault trial in about a week's time in London that I think has been very interesting to work on. There are a lot of new issues to me in the same way that Nick just said. Crafting a narrative for the defense and watching you craft your cross-examination there has been extremely interesting to watch.
Do you see how much work goes into this now? It's
Absolutely.
not like on TV.
Of course, no.
Nick, what do you do when you're not lawyering for a bit on the weekend?
Yeah, what do I do? I'm trying to get my
what is beginner calisthenics?
I knew you. It's so outdated. I've not done that since I've been working as a lawyer. Let me tell you,
I don't even know what it is. Does it involve your
it's body weight training. It's something I can't do, and I barely could when I was doing it.
Okay.
Hence, I've got beginner in.
Yeah,
in
I see that. You should put
there,
uppercase B on the beginner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the more Britishisms coming. Enjoy cookery. What the hell is cookery?
That's not a real word.
What would you say?
Are you just making these words up? What is cookery?
Cooking,
Sounds like a criminal offense.
But I don't do that anymore because of Marcy. So thank you very much.
No more
I love
cookery.
cooking for you.
I cook too.
He cooks.
Oh yeah, Joseph.
And by the way, that knife is fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Life-changing.
Okay.
Joseph was given a wonderful Christmas present by the gentleman.
Yeah, foolishly perhaps we decided to buy him a very sharp knife.
He uses it under supervision. Don't worry.
For all our cookery.
For your cookery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cookery
I love
purposes.
that, cookery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, intermediate French. Well, that speaks for itself. Tyler, apart from your fantasies, your sports fantasies, whatever the hell that means, what else do you do when you're...
I try to be active as much as possible. Rock climbing is a big hobby of mine that I try to do at least a couple of times a week when I can.
A week? Where do you climb rocks around here?
They've got some indoor gyms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But you do it without any protective apparatus like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's right. Of course. No ropes.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about, when we were prepping, we're talking about how you prepared for your interviews
So,
here.
Rory, what's your hobby?
My hobby?
yeah.
Watches and cameras. You know
I'm
that.
going to come on camera for this one thing.
Okay. What are you fixing on me?
No. Somebody asked me what's my hobby.
Right. What's
Speak
your
into
hobby?
his chest.
Speak into... Well,
What's my hobby?
what's your hobby, Joseph?
What's your hobby, Joseph?
Resurrection. What
Whoa.
movie's that from?
You better get this.
Oh,
Come on.
James
Is it a
Bond.
James
It's got to
Bond?
be a
Bond,
James
which
Bond.
My favorite.
Die Another Day.
No, keep going.
Casino Royale.
No,
Keep going.
forward.
Wait,
House-
who was the Bond?
Daniel
Daniel
Craig.
Daniel
No
Craig.
Time to Die.
the last-
Adele.
the
What's the
last
Adele
movie.
one? Oh, the
Skyfall.
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 Oh my God, let's watch that.
So,
tonight.
Mr. Bond, what's your hobby? Resurrection.
Come on, he's seen
That's
it
a
like
good line.
100 times.
Gonna go.
I just
No, you're
rewatched
not
the
gonna
Bond
get
movies
fired.
too recently.
No, you
Okay, favorite Bond movie, seeing as we're on the topic.
I think Skyfall is probably up there. I think.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. Very diplomatic.
Okay.
Nicholas, you can go off script.
And you're British, so.
Yeah, you're
I'm
British.
just trying
so.
to. I'm confused about which ones I said. I gotta say GoldenEye.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I used to play it on the
That's a
Nintendo
good one.
64,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I loved it. And
But that's
yeah.
Pierce, right?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
it's
he was a good
Pierce.
Bond.
He was a
I mean,
good Bond.
We like the gritty Bond.
Yeah, we prefer the gritty.
Is Daniel Craig your favorite Bond? Is that?
Yeah. I mean,
Who's
they were
interviewing
all
who?
great. Sean Connery, but Daniel Craig's my favorite by far. I mean, he brought a level of grit and character development that I think hadn't been in the series prior to him. And his suits are fantastic.
And the watches.
Well, it's all Omega.
It's all Omega, yeah.
All right, I'll shut up now.
No, it's okay. This is good input. And we like Marcy helping the boys as required.
I think we need help. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you prep for the interview here? That was a question was suggested to me.
Okay. Well,
Did you prepare for the
I
interview?
did.
Sorry.
I did. First, I got in the right time zone.
I
Because,
remember
yeah,
that.
we had that hiccup with the time zone.
You were stuck in Newfoundland or
I was
something?
I was on holiday, and I thought I felt so pleased with myself because I set up my background. I was all ready to go, and I turned my computer on, and it was just, "Where are you?" 2 hours ago. I was like,
Yeah, I was.
damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
So
good. That was good.
I did that, and then after that, I think I looked up lots of criminal case law because I was terrified you were gonna grill me on substantive questions. Yeah.
I asked about cooking.
Oh, you did. Cookery, you mean?
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't call it that.
No, you didn't. You wouldn't.
So are you ready to fight wrongful accusations?
Absolutely. That's why we joined.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what I did to prepare was, I did my research on the firm to sort of get to know the place that I had applied better. But I think in addition to that, I just really reflected on why I wanted to get into criminal law to begin with.
And what was that?
I think it was mostly an interest in dealing with people and having sort of a tangible impact on their lives. I mean, when you're charged with a crime, you're at basically the most vulnerable point you can be in your life, and you can have a real impact when you work with people and defend them. You're sort of, I mean, you're their spokesperson and you're their advocate. I've got a few that are nearing the end where it seems like a good resolution's possible, and I can see just in my communication with them that a weight is sort of beginning to get lifted from them.
Nick, positive client interactions that made you feel good at the end of the day?
Yeah. So the one I already mentioned when we got the resolution. Also with you recently.
What did we do?
We managed to postpone. We get an adjournment during a sentencing, and
Oh yeah, tell that story. That's a good story.
Okay.
Remember?
Okay, so this is a good story because it's the jam of what we talk about
Right.
of criminal work. So just
I'll set it up and then you kind of take it. So this was a case that came in recently. Client had hired, let's say, another law firm that, not another law firm, another lawyer, and specifically an immigration lawyer to do his sex assault. Go figure. Lawyer decided as a wise strategy not to call his client on a he says, she says sex assault case. Again, some interesting strategy that ended up in a conviction for this client. Client then got rid of that lawyer, finally, smartly, and hired us for the sentencing. You started doing the sentencing research. Take it from there.
I did, and we discovered pretty quickly that a conditional discharge certainly wasn't
Wasn't gonna
possible,
happen for that.
and a
No,
conditional
no.
sentence, that wasn't going to happen either.
Crown was seeking 16 to 18 months.
Yeah, and we thought sort of ultimately it was going to be kind of between 12 to 18 months, and then
Until I woke up at 3 a.m. with that idea the
Yes.
night before.
which was to say during the sentencing hearing or just prior to the judge, in fact, this person has had incompetent representation. Can we have essentially bring a mistrial application prior to sentencing? And the judge was amenable. She agreed to it. And so our client was very, very happy because he wasn't taken into custody.
Talk about the Crown. Talk about the Crown. She beat you up the first time you dealt with her.
She
tried to beat you up.
She was very direct. It was a Zoom call. I'll admit I wasn't fully prepared for how direct she was going to be. And she said, we are strongly opposing. I think at that point we were just adjourning the sentencing hearing because we'd just been retained, which is a really good reason to adjourn it. Like, we had just got on board. Right. She wasn't having it. And so she said this, and I explained, well, there's a language difficulty. We haven't even seen the information. The previous lawyer isn't being communicative. I just listed as many reasons as I thought, and that I knew. And again, the judge was amenable, and so we got a short adjournment. And then again, she warned us when we came into court in person, you and I, she even turned to you and said, I'm gonna rumble about this. You're gonna hear from me. And we
that's
did.
the part where I giggled slightly at her or something. To that
Yes.
effect.
I'm going to speak close to your
Okay.
close to your mic for a second.
Speak to my chest.
Like, this is really important. Okay, so we don't,
Go ahead.
So, we don't take it lightly when we deprecate, like, on another lawyer. We don't do that. We're very careful if somebody comes to us for a second opinion or for an appeal. Alleging incompetence of counsel is not something we take lightly. It's something we don't have any joy in, okay? No. But the reality is, as we say, criminal law is a specialty. Doing sexual assault defense work is almost like a tertiary specialty. You got to be careful. But here's the thing that bugged me the most, okay?
Do you want a seat, Joe?
So, no,
Okay.
Hold you by the neck.
Talk to the lapel.
So, it's an immigration lawyer who's never defended a sexual assault case, and I think the retainer was an airfare ticket to somewhere.
Back to Pakistan.
Whatever. And doesn't call the client, and I've taught you, and I've explained this, and you know it. You can't really win a sex assault case unless you call your client, unless you blow the complainant out of the water, which is
rare,
far more rare than one would think. You'd think a Crown attorney who secured a conviction with an idiot representing the accused, where you could see that, in fact, the person was not competent, and I'll tell you why. They may want to say, yeah, sure, you'll get your adjournment. I understand. I get it. No problem. Because you want to have, at the end of the day, a conviction that's based upon a sound finding, based upon the evidence, and where somebody has at least had a reasonable defense.
Fair shake.
You're not entitled to a perfect defense, but a reasonable defense. And that bugs me, because I've had other cases where we've stepped in at the sentencing phase, and I've seen other cases where a Crown attorney has actually said, that guy should not have been doing the defense, and took actually a cooperative tone. We've had appeals where Crowns have conceded. So that type of bother, I think we have to wrap it up. Sorry, I've been doing this really long. But that's part of what we talk about. You're now seeing that. And, it's not a just system all the time. Okay, I'll leave now.
Thank you for the...
Bye. Thanks for the guest appearance.
The guest appearance, that's our sponsor.
Cameo.
So I think what you'd agree, what we learned from that little case that's still ongoing, is the need to think outside of the box. We were going into that originally to do a sentencing. Mm-hmm. Then we put our brains to it.
Yeah. And I was, I kind of impressed it was on the fly. Like, that's what I like about criminal law.
Sometimes
It
I
can
do
be
things
creative.
on the fly. Well, because the closer I got to that courtroom, the more pissed off I got that this poor guy hired this immigration lawyer. He was about facing 16 to 18 months jail, and here we are standing there like, how can we help this guy? So we put that together very fast, and I'm sure it'll be successful. The judge appears to be very sympathetic.
Good judge.
Good judge. That's all, folks. Thank you. Now we have to teach
about
them.
pillow talk?
Well, we're going to do pillow talk next.
Yeah, you guys got to learn pillow talk.
Yeah. Joe, get the pillows. You hold one. Read the script. Okay, ready? No, you can read it
it's both
first.
sides.
It
Right?
is
Well
both sides.
designed.
These are fancy
It's
ones.
both sides,
So at the end of our podcast, and you'll be appearing on many more in the near future, trust me.
Okay.
Read this. This is what you have to say to our followers.
Don't forget to
No, don't just read it. Put emotion into it. Like,
Don't forget. Are we saying it at the same time?
Should we? Do you want
You
to do
don't
it?
have to do it in stereo.
All right.
Well, okay.
Okay, Nick, go
Alright.
first. You've got the
Alright.
accent.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Tyler?
Put some boom behind it.
Yeah,
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
that was very
damn.
good. Thank you,
You've shown me
gentlemen,
off.
and welcome again.
You've got the accent, so.
That's a wrap.